John Bolton, you remember him, mustache guy, Donald Trump's former national security advisor. He's had a Secret Service detail protecting him for years, and that's not something national security advisors usually get. But he's had one because somebody tried to hire a hitman to kill him. That someone allegedly was the nation of Iran. DOJ charged a member of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard with a murder-for-hire plot against John Bolton. And because of that, President Biden arranged for Bolton to have a Secret Service detail starting in 2021. And it's not just John Bolton who has faced that kind of threat, specifically from Iran. This is interesting. There's interesting reporting that some of the last warnings the outgoing Biden Homeland Security team gave to the incoming Trump team before the inauguration, some of their last warnings were about Iranian threats to kill current and former U.S. government officials. So that was the last thing Biden's folks told Trump's folks before they walked out the door. And then one of the first things Trump did when he walked in the door is he canceled John Bolton's Secret Service protection. John Bolton responded today in part, quote, "I'm disappointed but not surprised that President Trump has decided to terminate the protection previously provided by the U.S. Secret Service. Notwithstanding my criticisms of President Biden's national security policies, he nonetheless made the decision to extend that protection to me in 2021. Bolton says the threat to him from Iran remains, and, quote, "The American people can judge for themselves which president made the right call." I should also mention that Trump also revoked John Bolton's security clearance, as well as security clearances from a few dozen other former officials that Trump is mad at for various reasons. But you know who Trump is giving security clearances to? Really high-level security clearances to? Anybody. Anybody who wants one. Step right up, no background check needed. Trump signed an executive order yesterday saying the White House will immediately grant the highest level of security clearance to personnel of the White House's choosing, whether or not those people have been vetted at all. Look under your seat. You get a security clearance. Speaking of security clearances, Tulsi Gabbard still doesn't have a date for her confirmation hearing to be Trump's director of national intelligence. It's still amazing to say. Senate Republicans have blamed a paperwork problem. OK, but there also continues to be stuff like this new hair-raising reporting from the Washington Post. Today's reporting on Gabbard casts doubt on her longtime explanation of a trip she took to Syria in 2017 as a congresswoman, a trip where she infamously met with the dictator Bashar al-Assad and then came back and refused to say that he was a bad guy for bombing and gassing his own civilians. Gabbard has also said it was a surprise. She didn't expect to meet Assad on that trip, but she said the opportunity arose once she was there, and she just felt spur of the moment like she should take it. The Washington Post's review today of documents and interviews with her congressional staff from the time show that she met with Assad basically immediately when she got there. She met with him for about 3 hours, and then she met with him a second time. One of her staffers from the time telling the Post today, quote, "I will go to the grave believing that she lied to us." Her claim is that it just sort of happened. How do you just happen to meet with the leader of a police state, not once, but twice? A Trump transition spokeswoman calls the Post story a, quote, "deep state smear campaign filled with gross misrepresentation and conjecture." But someday soon, Republican senators are going to have to decide if this is the right person who should be in charge of all 18 U.S. intelligence agencies. Joining us now is the journalist and author Tim Weiner. He's the author of the seminal history of the CIA, Legacy of Ashes. His next book is called The Mission, the CIA in the 21st Century. It's out later this year. I can't wait. Tim, it's nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Rachel.
What do you make of the choice of Tulsi Gabbard to be the nominee to be Director of National Intelligence?
With the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, Kash Patel for the FBI, Pete Hegseth for Defense, John Radcliffe for CIA, what you are seeing is an element of Trump's desire to decapitate the national security establishment of the United States.
Decapitate it, meaning disable it?
By putting in empty heads in charge of it.
You've written so much about the structure and history of the CIA and also the FBI. Is the person at the top determinative in terms of not only the actions of the agency, but potentially the fates of these agencies and these functions?
Once when I was in Afghanistan, a mujahideen said, we have an old saying in our country, the fish stinks from the head, which is a universal truth.
Yeah.
If you put in charge of the American national security establishment crackpots and fools whose only qualification is their deathless loyalty to Donald Trump, you are not going to get good intelligence. We are in a very dangerous moment in this world. We are approaching a state of total war in this world. We have the axis of autocracy lining up against the Ukrainians, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Korean, lining up against Ukraine. You've got a moment where we have to have smoothly functioning intelligence. Intelligence is just $1 billion word for information. Mm-hmm. The president is supposed to know and care what's going on over the horizon. The intelligence agencies, when they work, are in charge of anticipating surprise, so you don't get a bolt from the blue, as we've seen in our lifetimes. You cannot run an intelligence service if you are putting the people in charge and the people beneath them through loyalty oaths and ideological purity tests. This is what's happening in that executive order after he strips the security clearances of 5 former directors and deputy directors of CIA, 3 of the guys who ran very nervy operations against the Russians, some of the best intelligence analysts of our lifetime. In the paragraph below, he says, the director of national intelligence and the CIA director shall go into the ranks and root out people who are politically suspect. If you do that, you are going to have people running for the exits rather than submit to purity tests. And that's a dangerous thing.
What is the danger of giving out security clearances at the highest level as party favors to anybody who asks for them at the White House without any vetting?
Well, if I were a foreign intelligence service allied with the United States, would I want to share secrets with Tulsi Gabbard or some 25-year-old whose qualification is he wears a MAGA hat? I would not. I would think it would make the world a more dangerous place.
Tim Weiner's latest book on the CIA will be out this summer. Book me already for that. Tim, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you.